98.3 FM. The Situation Room. We are always watching.
That's why again say there. The eyes have it.
Oga Police, no worry, I see you. You know you can do the right thing, right? You know you can do without that bribe. You know you don't even have to harass that young man because he is properly dressed. And you think he's a Yahoo boy? You don't even have to assault that citizen whom you have sworn an oath to protect. Yes, we understand that the pay is not good enough to take you home. That you are still wearing a uniform that you bought with your own money 5 years ago. It's no news that the government has not done enough by you. We feel your pain and we wish things could be different as we continue to call on government to wake up to their responsibilities. We want the police to be our friends, just as it is boldly stated across the various police stations nationwide. And from mainland 98.3 FM, we implore you to do better. We love you and we support you always.
I've always been of the opinion that politics is an all-round business. What I mean is every single day, 365 days, 52 weeks, every second, every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month, every year, people wake up and all they think about is how to get around in the political situation, the political circle, the political existence of every given society. Yes, I understand the idea of a very open society. I understand the idea of equality in every society. But in the world of the very strange and historical and a phenomenal human being, one of those that once lived the surface of this earth, Karl Marx, he said, in every classless society, there is always a class. So that is why you have a percentage that is barely even 1% of the Nigerian population are controlling who gets what, when, and how those things are gotten. These individuals would always decide how the commonwealth that belongs to the over 230 million people are shared. And these individuals are so minute in their numbers, but of course powerful in their substances. This is the president, the vice president, maybe your lawmakers, your governors, your local government chairman, your state house of assembly lawmakers, maybe your party chairman, your party ESCO, your women leader, your youth leader. All of these individuals, find a space where they make policies, perhaps, if any. They also make decisions most often that want a way of influencing our daily existence as a people. That is why when people say get involved, that is why when people say get interested, that is why when people say put your mind and your money where your mouth is, and so that you don't fold your hands later and say, oh, the worst of us are ruling the best of us. In that case, what did you do to influence the best of us also ruling the best of us? Did you fold your hand and allow the worst of us to get to the position of coming to rule the best of us? Did you vote during the election? Did you belong to political parties? Did you collect your PVC to vote, or you collected your PVCs because you want to have a form of national identification? Or you want to have your bank transactions and you see your permanent voter's card as a means to identify yourself publicly? Or you actually picked up your PVC, went through the entire stress and the trouble because you want to exercise your franchise. Your franchise in this case means the right to vote and to be voted for. What is your mindset when it comes to election? What are those things that forms your opinion when you are making your political decisions? Are they tribal sentiments? Is it religious affiliation? Or you think it's just about cultural balance? Or perhaps it's about whoever my party put forward. I don't care whether the person is credible. I don't care if the person is capable. I don't care if the person is competent. As long as this is the person my party is putting forward, what, this is the person I want to vote for. We're in the 21st century, it is 2025, and that is many, many years after we got independent, 1960 till now. That's a long time. I was still voting along this primitive sentiment, along this primordial, mindset of going in election. When you pick up your election or when it's election time, what do you do on that Saturday? Do you go around to greet your neighbors? You go around to spend time with your families, or you go around to play with your friends, or you go around to visit old folks, or you just stay on the street, occupy the street, and you play football, and you refuse to exercise your franchise? And at the end of the day, when we have a faulty leadership system, we say, oh, the politicians are bad. But did you also influence making sure that the right people get into the right places? So when people tell you, belong to a political party, it is not because they want you to come banter on social media. It is not even because they want you to flash your membership ID card or to get extra privileges because of party affiliation. It is because most of these decisions, most of the candidates would always come to vote for an election day are decided by selected few. They call those ones the delegates. What is in the mind of the delegate? What inspires the choices of the delegate? Is he mostly influenced by financial inducements? These are the factors we want to talk about. There are rumors that sometimes during presidential primaries, huge amount of money as high as $20,000, $30,000 often exchange hands amongst the delegate. That is why when you look at the delegate list, you find former national chairman of a major political party, you see former senators, former House of Assembly members, former speakers of House of Assemblies, always struggling to be on the delegate list because of how juicy it comes. What makes you, or what stops you from also being in that space so that you can influence what the entire Nigerian population comes to vote for? Have you wondered that when some people pick up nomination ticket of some political parties, they already start jubilating because it looks like the major hurdle is picking the primaries even bigger than the general election? So somebody tells you, oh, I'm the candidate of party ABC, and the people are already ready to sponsor the election because they know that he will go win. And that's the question. Or perhaps one of the reasons why you don't get involved in election is because you already have it in your mind that our votes no they count. Indeed, if you think your votes don't count, if you think you didn't get involved for whatever reasons, so you don't have the right to come criticize them, they would always say in Yoruba, that means if you didn't vote for me into office, you don't have the right to criticize me. Yes, I understand the idea of political differences. I belong to party ABC, I belong to party CBD. It's understandable. At least you participated in the election. But if you folded your hand, you didn't vote, whether your candidate won or your candidate didn't win, and then you think you can pick up your phones and criticize the government, you didn't participate in that election. I hope we get to do things right here. You're welcome to the Situation Room, live from Mainland 98.3 FM. If you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Ōkpeyemi Akinde, and it's always my pleasure to have you join us on the show every Monday to Friday from 4 to 5:30. 90 straight minutes of conversation around leadership, accountability, politics, politricks, and everything you can imagine when it comes to the situation. That is why we called it The Situation Room. And you're live on Mainland 98.3 FM. We're streaming this program live on all our social media platforms. On Facebook.com/Mainland 98.3 FM. On X, you can follow us, we follow you back immediately. It is Mainland 98.3 FM. On Instagram and YouTube as well, we're streaming direct on those platforms. It is Mainland 98.3 FM. And if you want to call the show, the phone line remains 0913-600-0410. I take the number again, 0913-600-0410. In case you're leaving town and you still want to be in our company, you can also search us out on Radio Garden on Mainland 98.3 FM. So we'll provide you all day, all year round, entertainment, education, information, every single thing you need to know or you look out for on radio. Today, we're going strictly political, and I've got some soundbite that I'm going to play for you. Yesterday night, the former FCT minister and the immediate past governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, was on national TV, And boy, oh boy, that interview is not just your regular interview. That interview was an expose. That interview was a no old bar session. That interview was not just an indictment on certain people, but also a cluster to the fact that the opposition in this country is almost as good as dead. Because as a lot of people were expecting, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, as he's constantly done in the last few months, is criticize his party, the APC, and he said it was part of the 37 people that signed the documents that gave birth to the All Progressive Congress. But what has changed? He also came out to say that, hey, I was not interested in contesting for the governorship election in Kaduna State. That the former president, that is the retired general himself, the man that a lot of people thought was going to end insecurity in this country, the man from Katsina, and I'm talking about no other person than Muhammadu Buhari, that it was former President Muhammadu Buhari that told him to contest for the governor of Kaduna State. He said a lot of things, and I'm going to play you those sound bites in beats. My guest is seated live in the studio, and you know that when it's Tuesday, especially the last Tuesday of the month, Barrister Adams joins me in the studio. Barrister Adams is a legal practitioner, human resource manager, is a public affairs analyst, is a social commentator, and is a man that loves the good life, young and strong, and always in the business of speaking truth to power. Once again, welcome to the show. I'll play you this set of sound bites, and as expected, the presidency responded. Bayo Onanuga had also responded to the interview that was granted yesterday. In that interview, names were mentioned. Exactly. A lot of calling out was done. A lot of denial was also done. Or perhaps, let me say clarifications now, because the immediate the current governor of Kaduna State consistently, referred to Malam Nasir El-Rufai as his friend. Wow. Malam says, Governor Ubasani is not my friend. The National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, is not my friend, because he understands the thin line between friendship and patronage. Take a listen.
The president must know that this is a bad time for our nation. We must rise to it. They are killing people in the east, in the west, in the south, in the north. We should shut down the National Assembly. Let's shut down. If we cannot save this country, we stay in our homes.
A new day, a new event. Old actors meet new ones, and a fresh twist adds up to the old subplot. Something unexpected blows up under the sun. But when the elephants fight, and the grass suffers and the ground shakes, we are always plugged in, watching it all unfold right here in the Situation Room. Here, we bring together the main actors to take their turns on pressing issues, dissecting events as they unfold across every sector of human concerns. Stay tuned to the Situation Room with Oᴘᴜᴜ every Monday to Friday from 4 to 5:30 p.m. on your super dial, Mainland 98.3 FM. The Situation Room. We are always watching.
That's why again say there, the eyes have it.
I agree with them. I think that President Tinubu's appointments are quite imbalanced. But unlike others that think, oh, the appointments are skewed towards Southwest, no. Please, don't blame the Southwest for what one individual is doing. Okay? As a northerner and someone that lived half of his life under military rule, we have suffered that. The military takes power, they do things, the head of state is a northerner, he messes up, every northerner is blamed. No. Yorubas are very honorable people. Okay? But there's a difference even in Yoruba land between an Omoluabi, okay, who is the ideal Yoruba person with morals and character, and an area boy. Okay? So I want people to stop saying it's Southwest. Look, President Tinubu is appointing his own boys. Not because they are Yoruba, but because they are his own boys. And most of the appointments do not even reasonably cover the Southwest. Okay, so people should stop confusing the two. The appointments are not balanced. Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Right.
You cannot argue that. But it's not a Yoruba thing. Please don't punish the Yorubas as you have been punishing northerners for the sins of the military. Okay? Let's focus on individuals and hold them accountable. President Tinubu needs to do something about that. It's still not too late, he can correct it, but there is palpable anger in the north, and all the people around him, all those telling him that everything is quiet, they cannot go to the north and say vote for APC or vote for Tinubu today. But it's 2 years to the elections, it's not too late to correct things, and he knows. I have passed this message through many of those close to him. I hope they have the guts to tell him. I don't know what has gone wrong. All I know is that a political party functions through internal democracy. When the organs of the party meet, okay, they give feedback to the government as to how it is doing, how it is aligning its output and efforts with the manifesto of the party. That's the purpose of having National Executive Committee meeting, which the APC constitution requires must take place at least once a quarter. That's the purpose of having national caucus, so that other non-members of NEC, but experienced, former governors, former this and that, will come and give their views, what they are hearing on the street about the effectiveness of government policies vis-a-vis the promises the party made. In 2 years, the party has not met. So no one, to the best of my knowledge, no one has any inside track on what has gone wrong. In the last few months, I've been visiting the former national chairman of APC. I went to see Baba Akande. I asked him the same question. I saw Adams Oshomole. I visited Chief John Oyegun. Yesterday, I went to Kefi to meet with Abdullahi Adamu. I am asking the same question. What is happening to our party? What has gone wrong? And nobody can say anything, because the party has not met for 2 years. There has been no conversation about the alignment of government policies with the progressive values of the party. No conversation at all. I'm happy to learn through the grapevine that the party is finally going to have a national caucus meeting and NEC meeting, and I hope that will be discussed. The question you are asking should be asked in those two fora, and let's find out why has the party forgotten its founding values?
But of course, you, in spite of all that, I mean, clearly you sound deeply frustrated. Anybody who's watching you now can see that. You have said that you have no intention of leaving the APC, but you wanted it to change. I mean, and you're not seeing any signs of that change.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I didn't say I have no intention of leaving the APC. I said that APC is my party. Now, I'm not leaving the APC, Charles. The APC has left me. We founded that party based on certain values. The party has left. Okay? I am stranded. I'm standing. The APC is there. I'm here. So, to be very accurate, I'm not leaving the APC. The APC has already left. Well, I'm not ready to retire from politics.
Right. So you're shopping around.
So sooner or later, I may have to find another platform to pursue those progressive values that I believe in, if I can't find them in the APC. I hope that the APC will meet and correct its journey, and then maybe some of us can look at it again. But for now, there are many of us that cannot recognize the party. It is not what we worked hard to create. Look, I don't want to pass any judgment or make any opinion about the government, because anything I say can be interpreted as a criticism. I support some of the policies.
Right.
Most of the economic policies are the right orthodox policies, okay? But the sequencing is wrong. The quality of the people implementing the reforms leaves much to be desired. And I think that some of the reforms are just wrong. You don't target, you don't address food inflation by destroying domestic agriculture through importation, for instance. food prices may be going down, but farmers are being impoverished because they are being made to compete with subsidized agricultural products from Europe and other countries. So I have issues with many of them, and I'm in touch with many senior officials of the administration, and I give them my opinion privately. But I don't want to go beyond that because, tomorrow they will say, oh, it's because he was not minister. Guys, I was minister 20 years ago. I'm beyond that. Okay. No, I wasn't flattered. I actually complained to Bayo Onanuga when I saw him. I said, why did you mess up my birthday? Issuing that message, all my enemies that were celebrating that no one would recognize my birthday compared to when I was governor, were made to be unhappy. Some were compelled to send me birthday greetings because the president sent birthday greetings and recognized that I contributed to the formation of APC as well as success in 3 presidential elections. And we joked about it. But yeah, it was kind of the president, but it hurt my enemies more than it made me happier.
The president must know that this is a bad time for our nation. We must rise to it. They are killing people in the east, in the west, in the south, in the north. We should shut down the National Assembly. Let's shut down. If we cannot save this country, we stay in our homes.
A new day, a new event. Old actors meet new ones, and a fresh twist adds up to the old subplot. Something unexpected blows up under the sun. But when the elephants fight, and the grass suffers and the ground shakes, we are always plugged in, watching it all unfold right here in the Situation Room. Here, we bring together the main actors to take their turns on pressing issues, dissecting events as they unfold across every sector of human concerns. Stay tuned to the Situation Room with Oᴜᴜᴜ every Monday to Friday from 4 to 5:30 p.m. on your super dial, mainland 98.3 FM. The Situation Room. We are always watching.
Those who are against it, the eyes have it.
Let be poor, breathe. Don't suffocate them. We have that responsibility.
Welcome back. Now let's get straight up into the show proper. I'm sure you'll be wondering, why did I have to play all of those sound bites? Because whether we like it or not, the race for 2027 began the day the 2023 general election was concluded. And on conclusion, I mean all of the entire, appeal, the cases, all of that. And I remember there was a time I had the former commissioner for information, Rivers State, join us on the show, and he says one thing a lot of Nigerians don't know is the political class in the country don't rest. They think about politics 24 hours a day, 52 weeks a year, 365 days a year. So if you think you're a political observer, you're just chilled, you're sleeping, you're waiting for when election would come so that you go out and exercise your franchise, then you would probably have been left behind. Yesterday night, the former Minister of Federal Capital Territory and the former Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, are one of the men that championed the cause of a southern presidency after the administration of the immediate past president Muhammadu Buhari was Malam Nasir El-Rufai. But it looks like things are falling apart, and it looks like the center is not going to hold. The political dynasty of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is rocking in Lagos, and at the national level is not finding it easy. If you look at the criticism that Malam Nasir El-Rufai had given the APC in the last few months, he has constantly said there is a lack of internal democracy in APC, and he cannot identify his own political party party anymore. Remember, it was part of the 37 signatories to the final, documents that bettered the All Progressive Congress after the coming together of the CPC, the ACN, a faction of ABGA, a faction of PDP, and other smaller political parties prior to the 2015 presidential election. Now he's talking, and in the series of his conversation, he made mention of people. He talked about the current governor of Kaduna State, and he says that if the people thinks he has no political value, that he should wait till 2027 is going to prove himself right. He also talked about the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu. He says that the only reason why Nuhu Ribadu is after his image and wanting to dent his image is because Nuhu Ribadu wants to become the president in 2031 and he wants to eliminate any threat whatsoever. A lot was said yesterday. If you missed it, we had to play all of those soundbites. And like I said, the presidents had also responded. I'm going to play you the soundbite of Bayo Onanuga much later. Let me introduce my guest again. My guest is a friend of the house. Is like a co-host on the show, even though he joins me twice a month, the last and the first Tuesday of every month and every new month. Barrister Aïdí Mzott is here. He's, like I said, a legal practitioner. He's a human resource manager. He's also a public affairs analyst, and he's a very good social guy. Barrister Aïdí, it's good to have you join us on the show again today.
Yes, thank you for having me on this lovely session today.
Well, first of all, let me thank you for having to, withstand the rain and the stress and, still find yourself to the office and to be on the show. I'm glad you did.
Thank you for that appreciation.
Okay, so let's get straight up into the issue. Yesterday, now, we had a conversation immediately after these, these once in a lifetime interview. Yes, Malam Nasser himself talked about the fact that since the issue of the screening by the way, he also talked about the fact that nobody should fall for the conversation of, it is the Senate that screened him out, that it was not the Senate, that it's either the president changed his mind or the president didn't want him on his cabinet. He said it took 3 months for him and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to eventually to convince him to come and work with him as a minister. And though he gave the president some of his conditions, that he's surprised that having served as a governor for 8 years and being a former FCT minister, that he's wondering why he got screened out on the floor of the Senate, where some people that had lesser qualification were told to take a bow and leave. Well, a lot of people have said all of the things he's been saying is because he was denied the chance to be on the cabinet of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that if he had to be a serving minister, will he be saying all of these things he's saying? And that's where we're going to start the conversation from today. Barrister Aïdí Mzott, you know Malam Nasser very well. He's a man that does not mince words. He's a man that says things exactly the way he is in his mind and his thoughts. And he said he's not ready to retire from politics. If El-Rufai was in the cabinet of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, would this story be the same? Let's start from there.
Let me start by saying that the story will not be the same because you will not want to hurt where you are feeding from. Let me start by that. And then secondly, El-Rufai have said that he gave the president his condition. He is an employee of the president.
True.
So he cannot, by all standard, that's a wrong foundation from his statement, by giving the president his terms and condition. Is he the Mbappe of Real Madrid? Is it the Lionel Messi of Barcelona of those days? That those guys, they have gotten to the peak and the club can say, we need your service. I agree with the fact that Mr. President wanted to engage him. But however, he cannot because the provision says that it is the president that engaged the service of somebody for the purpose of being a minister in his government. So it's not the minister that engages the service of the president. So by all standard, his erroneous conclusion that he gave the president his terms and condition is a wrong foundation. Furthermore, whether or not he's in this cabinet, like I said, a lot of people have found themselves in this cabinet who are not even a member of this political party, APC per se. They are there because one way or the other, they may have impressed Mr. President. I do not know, but they are not serving in good capacity. But this spirit of entitlement is what I literally do not agree with. There are procedures that the Constitution have put on board. The President will appoint and then recommend to the National Assembly, and then subject to confirmation of the National Assembly after passing through the necessary procedure or the requisite procedure, you will then be confirmed as a minister. So one of the criterion is not whether or not you have done 8 years as a governor. That's not the criterion for you to emerge as a minister. It is at the discretion of Mr. President to appoint, to recommend, and then subject to the confirmation of the National Assembly after screening you. So if you fail to meet up the condition precedent, a lot of series of petitions during the interview session, a lot of petition was submitted against El-Rufai, and it's based on that. That is what was published. So I literally do not agree with his position that Mr. President is behind everything. Although I know that Mr. President can influence any of the candidates, but the law is a law. If you are a security threat all over the federation, outside the country, because part of the condition that we saw online as part of the condition that he was disqualified is the fact that he is a threat even to the southern Kaduna, his own state, and outside the country, because he has made series of utterances, discrimination, and series of petition, and a lot of factors. So if he had every other thing contrary to that, he should showcase it and display it, not going around saying that it's Mr. President that did this and that and everything. What we have, and is a document speak for itself, is that he was disqualified based on security threats to the nation and to his state, to his people.
Okay, that has been established. Now, a lot of people are also been of the opinion. Before I'm just trying to set this, back end to this conversation before we slide into those sound bites one after the other. A lot of people have also said that, El-Rufai has just been bitter. He's just been an entitled person. Yes, as a build up to the election, I remember at the Kaduna Investment Summit where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, actually, literally begged El-Rufai while on stage, that the president El-Rufai should not leave, that he knows El-Rufai has got his plans and he wants to leave after his administration as a governor, that El-Rufai should stay, come on board and work with him and all of that. And then the entire process came through. I know for one that before your name get forwarded to the Senate, you must have been screened properly. You must have, passed through DSS screening. You must have had your document checked. Because there was a time a friend of mine was nominated for commissioner, and I know how many copies of his CV they requested for him to submit. You understand? So I imagine what would happen to a federal minister. I'm sure the entire process, the whole scrutiny and all of that will be at that top level. Barrister Adams, all of this reaction of Malam Nasir El-Rufai, questioning the internal democracy in the APC, talking about the fact that they've not held a NEC meeting in 2 years, the fact that he's gone to visit the former national chairman of the party, from BC Akonde to John Oyegun to Senator Shiomole to Senator Adamu Abdullahi, that he's gone to visit all of them to complain that, hey, there are no longer internal democracies in my party. We've not had a NEC meeting in 2 years. Are all these genuine concerns for the APC, Barrister Adams Atta, or is it basic of, I didn't get minister and I'm going to make sure that everything get messed up?
He raised some issues which I quite agree with him.
True.
As to the internal democracy, there may be 1 or 2 issues in the party. That's number one. And then number two, I don't equally agree with him on some issues. For example, he's saying that he gave his condition precedent to Mr. President before he can become a minister. Like I said earlier, he is an employee of Mr. President. So he must submit to the dictates and the instructions of Mr. President. Let's start from there. On the other hand, the issue of internal democracy, the issue of some people hijacking the party, to an extent we have seen, and it's always like that, because every president will have people who are loyalists to him, people he or she trusts. Is all over the world. Look at what is happening in America today. Look at the set of people that Donald Trump is recruiting and everything. We even saw that in the previous administration, he got one of his kids engaged in government. So whether we like it or not, it's like that all over the world. You get people that you trust. It's a matter of trust. Trust is now being used against competency. Some people, because I trust you, you are my boy.
I don't care whether you're competent
or not. I trust this person. So to an extent, I believe I can pilot my government with this person. But however, the society, the nation, we are suffering is dying, the system is decaying because of the fact that competent people are not properly engaged to man the particular ministry. And it's a bad and ugly experience all over the Federation. So I do not agree with some things he raised, and I agree with him to an extent, because there are issues that bother us on the growth of APC, more particularly that he claimed to have gone to meet part of the pioneers and the elders, the national leaders of APC. So by all standards, he has demonstrated, he has exhibited a sign of commitment and loyalty and maturity by going to see them. What could be more respectful than going to see somebody to consult and ask all these leaders and elders what is happening to our party? The northern part of the Federation, they're angry with the party. This is not the party we raise. This is not the party we sign up for. This is not a party that is one-sided. How come all of a sudden, after 2 years into this government, the party is now lopsided? Some people are hijacking the system. It's now one-way traffic. Some of us are not being carried along. This is politics. You cannot continue to keep quiet when you are a member of a political party. If you keep quiet, the party system will sideline you. So for me, I agree with him that he's talking. It's even good that he's talking. Otherwise, some people will keep quiet, and then at the last minute, it lasts about 3 to 4 months to election, you see them going to form alliance with other party. But it's now, if you listen to what he said it's very important for them to retrace their step. Now it's 2 years, so it's important that Mr. President will need to adjust the political organogram and a lot of things. So I agree with him to an extent, and then I literally do not agree with him as to whether or not he is the one to give Mr. President the condition, and I equally do not agree with him on his spirit of entitlement. He is not the owner of APC. APC is not formed for his personal consumption. He has benefited for 8 years. His son is currently at the National Assembly. He is still making noise up and down as if he's the only person that loved the North most than the likes of Atikus and others who have been contesting. So I do not agree with him.
Barrister Adams, now let's get into the interview proper. The first one were the concerns of the appointment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. A lot of people have been saying that, the appointment of the president is lopsided, and this was almost the same song we heard for the entire 8 years of the immediate past president Muhammadu Buhari. He's appointing only people from his region, he's appointing this, he's appointing that. But Madam Nasser Rufai came to say that no, don't make it an issue against the Southwest. Don't make it an issue against the Yoruba people. The president is appointing his boys. He's not just appointing those people because they are Yoruba. And remember, the issue of Lagos boys or the president boys is not just flipping up the very first time. I remember when the issue started with Senator Aḽɪᴇ on the issue of some unit in the CBN being relocated to Lagos. Senator Aḽɪᴇ came out to say that, the president is pleasing the Lagos boys, and that decision would have political consequences. Now, Malam Rufai is also coming out and is clearly spelling out that there's Omoluabi and then there are area boys. These are the two lines that have been blown off since yesterday night. What does it mean by the area boys, and what does it mean by the Omoluabi? Now, in this context, he's saying that the election or the appointment of Mr. President is not just about Yoruba people. It's actually Is this a precedence that we may have to deal with in our entire political journey? When I'm there, my people would also have to be there, perhaps. The next time we have an Igbo presidency, the appointment will also move to the Southeast. Does that in any way reflect the spirit of true federalism that this democracy is actually built on?
You see, that is a pure case of an abuse, and then it's something that have been there over time. And if you ask me to rate, if you marry the current government's current administration vis-a-vis Jonathan era and Obasanjo, I will give it to the PDP era. And this is because of the fact that if you look at most of the appointments under Olusegun Obasanjo and Jonathan, you agree with me that it's pretty fair than what we experienced under the immediate president and even the current president. You can see that there are a series of allegations, there are a series of petitions against the the head of the police affairs over the federation to step down. Up till date, he's above a certain age, and then Mr. President, because of the fact that Mr. President believes in this person, is still making the person to stay and then overstay the duration of his period. Not only that, we have seen it in other parts of his employment. It's one-way traffic. It does not reflect the federal character system that the Constitution postulates. Federal character system is what the Constitution postulates in such a way that it will reflect the whole federation. Most of the employment does not reflect other parts of the federation, and this is not the beginning. We experienced it under Buhari administration for 8 years, and same is now happening right now. So I do not agree with that, because to an extent, that will kill competency and then promotes illegalities and gross incompetency and failure for a better production in the system. How does that work out? Instead of us to get people who are competent, who are experienced in the job, but to allow we sacrifice personal interests. My boy is my boy. I trust in him. He has worked with me before. I trust in him. He will not betray me. That is where we are up to date. And the country, if you rate the country as at now over 10, it will be 2 over 10. That's if I'm glad to rate it 2 over 10. Other people will say 0 over 10 because of the hardship in the system. The system is bad. Hardship, as I'm speaking to you now, you can't even determine. Most of the telecom companies, they continue to increase tariff on the daily basis. You can't even account, or you can't even account for how you get your database, how the data are being burnt, how you buy what is it called? Airtime, and then how it's being used. How it's being used. As I'm speaking to you now, one of the SATs is set to increase tariff. They are set to increase their tariff from 1st of March. Again,
your friends.
One of the satellites.
I know. I said they are your friends. Yeah, you remember the last time the issue of increment came up, and then you took it up.
Yes. So you see the point we're making, and the government is silent. There is no communication between the government and the citizen. Oh, these people want to increase their tariff. Government, we want to see how we can set in to bridge the gap between our citizen and then these foreign companies. So the government is silent, like how El-Rufai say. This is not the government that El-Rufai believed that the party put on board. It's strange to them. I do not know. Maybe he has this feeling that this government does not have experience to pilot the ship. But I disagree with him, like I said, as to the extent of his spirit of entitlement. Don't feel entitled as if you are born into the system, as if other people are not there that are competent enough to pilot the ship in your absence.
Barrister Adams, some names were called yesterday. And, if you followed Nigerian political conversation for a while, you understand that name calling is not something a lot of Nigerian politicians usually do. They could just prefer to beat about the bush and just, they will leave that revelation to your own imagination. You just put 2 and 2 together and assume that, this thing is referring to this person. But yesterday night, it was a tell-it-all session, 1 hour. And I'm not sure if there's been so much more from that particular media when it comes to a prime time interview as much as the numbers of yesterday. Malam Nasir El-Rufai talked about the fact that the current governor of Kaduna State, the same man that he literally put his entire life on the line for him to win the election and succeed him. I remember I was watching an interview, I think a few months into the administration of His Excellency Governor Obasani of Kaduna State, and was talking about the fact that he didn't want to contest for the governor. Then Malam had to come and pick him. I'll look for the soundbite. I'm sure I have it somewhere on the system. I'll look for it. And he was talking about the fact that, if there's anybody else in the world that wants him to succeed more than his mother, is Malam. If there's anybody else in the world that will see him succeed, not just him and everything around him, is Malam. If there's anybody that he owes his political loyalty to from now till death, is Malam. In fact, I also watched the interview of Bello El-Rufai. That's El-Rufai, Honorable Bello El-Rufai, the chairman House Committee on Banking. That's the member representing Kaduna North Senatorial House of Representatives in Abuja, he talked about the fact that he didn't want to contest. That when he wanted to contest, Malam, that's his father, didn't want him to contest. That he took Senator Shehu San, then he was a senator, to come and tell his father to allow him contest, because then Aɗɪɪryᴏ was the senior legislative aide to the senator, now the governor. He said his father didn't want him to contest for reps, that it was the governor now that came to tell his father that leave him, I've raised him politically, let him go down and represent your people. And that was until then the father allowed him to go. That means there's that cordial relationship between Malam Nasir El-Rufai and someone that's supposed to be his political, maybe godson. I mean, he's almost giving the River State, that's Wike and Fubara vibes. Now, Malam Nasir El-Rufai came out to clear it openly that, hey, you know what? Ubasani is not my friend. No, Ribadu is not my friend. What do you make of this? And more importantly, he went further on Nuhu Ribadu and he says Nuhu Ribadu wants to contest for president in 2031. Barrister Adams, 2031 is 6 years from now. Nobody knows what is going to happen in the next 6 minutes, not even the next 6 days, 6 weeks, or 6 months. These people are already talking of 6 years from now. What does that tell you about the mindset of a typical Nigerian in terms of power grabbing, power negotiation, or let me put it this way, politricking, like you would choose to call it? The name calling was daring enough. Is that setting some political tone, and are you really interested in that build-up?
Yes, let me say it openly that Nuhu Ribadu is not is an experienced politician, because of the fact that he had even contested for president before. The current president, yes, the current president flagged him
for ACN.
Yes, then he equally flagged Atiku at a point. Tinubu flagged these two candidates, so it's not that he's grossly incompetent. He's experienced enough to contest. Again, it's his constitutional right to contest. So, but seeing that vision, somebody can see a vision for you. It's very possible that El-Rufai may have possibly seen that vision. Just like how General Abdul Salam recently said something that as far back as 1970 or 50 something, somebody told him and IBB that both of them are going to head the federation. It's very possible. He may have seen it, and then from political calculation, El-Rufai is equally an experienced politician. He can see your vibe, he can see your move, and then he can determine your plan. And I quite agree with him that Tinubu will prefer, Mr. President will prefer to hand over the ticket to Ribadu for one reason. One, right now he's already grooming him. Number two, for the fact that they have been working together, romancing together over the years. He has paraded him before, and he is the most closest northerner to him right now. Not even the vice president. Ribadu is the most closest.
He's the national security advisor.
Yes, but at least, yes, okay. The Mr. President, we want to form paparazzi. We want to form the boss for what is it to divide? Yes, that he will give that spacing and that gap, because he knows that anything that happened, that's the closest person. But however, a lot of secrets and information are within the confine of Nuhu Ribadu. So by our standard, if they must give power to anybody in the north right now, the closest person, which I agree with El-Rufai, is that Nuhu Ribadu, because he is in the same camp with Mr. President and is a northerner. And as the thing is right now, or as the political calculation is right now, the closest person to Mr. President is Ribadu. Not only that, because Mr. President will want to spend his remaining 6 years, thereabout, second term, and then before power swing back to the north. And then thereafter, a northerner will have to come out to contest after that time. And at that time, Atiku apparently should be like 90 years old, thereabouts. I think he's 80-something now, thereabouts, or 70-something.
70.
So who will now vote for somebody of that age? So the available candidate as at that time may be apparently Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇ, and then Ribadu and some other few individuals. I do not know whether El-Rufai is interested in contesting, but I don't know what the man is busy building around. Is it that he wants to go to Senate? Is it that he wants to bring power to the north? Is it that he is aggrieved with the fact that he failed to get the appointment? So whichever way you look at it from, most of those things he said yesterday, you can cripple them. You can't water them down. He's a seasoned politician. He has been part and parcel of the game since 1999. So he knows the terrain, and is part and parcel of the people that sign the instruments that give birth
to the APC.
So by all standards, that's why the whole federation, they were eager to listen to him yesterday.
True.
And even you can see how swift the presidency are so quick to respond, even though they are saying he's being childish. Let them not take him for granted.
Talking about the response, let me quickly play you what Mr. Bayo Onanuga, said in response to the interview we've been discussing. Well, in case you're just joining us, you're live from Mainland 98.3 FM. Barrister Adams Atta is my guest on the show today. And today we're breaking down the, let me say, maybe a teletour session that Malam Nasir Rufai had on, yesterday night. And, I had to stay back at the office to watch from start to finish because, there's no way, Malam Nasir Rufai gets on the mic and you certainly not know that I'm going to have to pick one or two things I have to go home with. And he dropped a lot yesterday. And since that yesterday, it's been from one controversy to the other, one interpretation to the other, one denial or expression or explanation as well. But take a listen to Mr. Bayo Onanuga and then we'll continue with the program.
Well, I think as a person, I think I will. It feels odd that it was not made a minister. I think it's a long time now. The ministers we came in August 2023. I think it's time for him to move on. You cannot continue to behave like a child, as if somebody stole your bread and things like that, and then you are crying over a spilled milk, as we say. It's natural for him to feel hurt. It's natural for him to feel bad that he's been excluded. And I think as the president acknowledged in the recent birthday tribute to him, Nasiru actually helped a lot in installing President Tinubu. And if he's not there, it doesn't mean that he must bring down the roof. The president has not had the most against Nasiru. I said Nasiru feels naturally hurt that he has been excluded. And that's why he's going about everywhere campaigning against the president and so on. It shows a man who resented being left out of the moving train, and he will not let go. But my advice to him, as a brother, as a former governor, should just appeal to him that he should forget it. If he's not made a minister, he's been in public service since 1999. I think it started from there. The hurt came from there.
Yes.
The father was not made a minister. That's why you can see what he's been saying. Even yesterday, in an interview with Arise TV, he made mention of this, saying that it was the president that blocked him and things like that. Whatever opinion he was about going there is personal to him. It does not. It may not. To me, it doesn't reflect reality. This government inherited a lot of problems. And if you look at the figures and everything what we are witnessing, things are getting better. We were certainly not where we were in 2023. This government, this administration, has done a lot of things to re-engineer the economy, and we are seeing the figures. We are seeing the positive figures. We are seeing inflation coming down. We are seeing foreign exchange reserve growing. We are seeing so many things. I'm not even talking about what the NBA.
Things seems anxious and
Thank you very much for still staying with us. Excuse me. That was the voice of Mr. Bayo Onanuga, the special advisor on information and strategy to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, responding to the interview of Malam Nasir Rufai yesterday night. And let me bring in my guest straight up on this one. Barrister Adams Ata, you heard what the essay to the president on information and strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, said. His response, he said the former minister, yes, acknowledged the fact that he played a major role in bringing the president up. Because I also remember, I think on the eve or maybe about a day or so to the primaries of the APC, when the former national chairman of the party, that Senator Adamu Abdullahi, came out to announce that the former president of the Nigerian Senate, was the consensus candidate of the APC prior to the primaries. And Malam Nasir El-Rufai was one of those that went straight to meet former President Muhammadu Buhari and said, hello, this was not the plan. The Progressive Governors Forum agreed that the power must move back to the South after the North had done 8 years. And we all knew the roles he played. Even though, Barrister Adams Ata, the APC lost Kaduna State in the presidential election, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar won the election with over 500,000 votes, total votes that he had in Kaduna State. But let's put that to one side. What do you make of the response of Mr. Bayo Onanuga to some of the issues that Malam Nasir El-Rufai raised yesterday, concerns of internal democracy within the party? He also talked about the fact that the party is not aligning the ideology with the reality of what Nigerians are facing. But Mr. Bayo Onanuga says, you know what? He's just crying over a spilled milk. He should move on. The fact that he didn't get a minister does not mean he should burn the house down. He's been in political office since 1999, and then he goes on to, water down all of those concerns. What do you make of that feedback, Barrister Adams Ata?
Yes, let me start by saying that APC should not underrate the man called El-Rufai. Is a force as far as the North is concerned. It's like his replica is the current emir of Kano State. They have the same categories and they are friends. They are
in
best
terms of
friends.
political value.
Yes, and they are best of friends, and they operate within the same terrain. They are intellectuals, and then they have strength to pull a crowd. That notwithstanding, I also want to say that he's a member of that political party, APC, a founding member, not just a member on the streets, or not just a member that came to cast his vote and then retire back and then wait for another 4 years. These are part and parcel of the decision makers for the party. And these people sat and fought for this current government as far as the northern votes are concerned up till date. So the point I'm making is that whether or not he's crying all over something, one is in Nigeria. Number two is a member of that political party. Number three is entitled to his opinion. So how can you describe that he's crying? I agree that he's aggrieved, he's human, he felt bad and some other things. That is one. But beyond that, look at the issue he raised. Whether those issues are germane issues to the growth of the party, or they are just there as a caricature or to make a mockery of the party or the system. So you must identify all this enigma that he has raised. Internal democracy, he has even taken steps, if not somebody that loved the party. He went to meet senior members of the party all over the federation.
All the former national chairman.
So what more? How more can you describe loyalty? How more? He's even good, like I said earlier, he's even a good man for him to even have come out to air his opinion. He can continue with his shenanigans, he can continue with his political coup or political edge like this for the next 2 years, and then you see that the North will plant something and then cook something, and then in a particular day they will strike. So it's even good now. God is making him to talk. So don't describe what is happening now as a child play, just like how he's saying he's crying. He should move on. Move on to where? He's a force. So the party must look for a way to call him and then reconcile all the issues that have been raised. You don't provoke him further because he's a force. He can still control 3 to 5 states in the north. He can connect with his brother in Kano State, more particularly that APC lost Lagos State in the last election, and people are more angry now as to what happened before the last election. More so that Kano State is no longer in possession
of the APC.
And that is where you get bulk of the votes. And Port Harcourt is River State. and Kano states that give them the vote that Tinubu is in power today. So you must recognize and acknowledge that you don't allow an intruder to come and destroy your party. I was thinking that the APC will try to form alliance and see or ensure that the crisis happening in Rivers State is well taken care of. If you don't have a sitting governor that supports you in Rivers State, you don't have a sitting governor that supports you in Kano State, and then there is internal democracy and fights in 2 states in the West, just consider yourself that you have gone. You have lost 2027 election.
Barrister Adams, that's a tough call.
Yes, yes.
Let me build this narrative real quick, because I kind of need this as well. You were coming to, so my thoughts were absolutely aligning with your position as well. But come to think of it, the PDP didn't win Kano State. The APC didn't win Kano State. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso delivered Kano State for the new Nigerian People's Party, the party that is also producing the governor of the state as we speak. Rivers State also, it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. There is the Wike factor. They call it the 2-step authentication factor, that the PDP in Rivers are loyal to the APC, and there's also the APC in Rivers. Remember, in Rivers State as we speak, the APC or the PDP or the Labour Party don't own the local government. It is owned by the Action People's Party, the APP, the same party that is also holding sway in terms of a sitting judgment, subsitting judgment in Osun State. Remember, at the local government conversation. So if you say that if you lose Lagos and you lose Kano and you lose Port Harcourt, or perhaps you think that some of the 2 southwestern states, which is maybe Osun, what exactly is the voting strength of Osun, by the way? Or your state has over 30 local government, but they're not even producing up to 1 million votes. Do you think losing some of these states will trouble President Bola Ahmed Tinubu build up to 2027 election?
Yes, it's going to trouble APC.
Cost him his seat if he choose to rerun?
Yes, let me give you the analysis. Wike was very strong then, and that's why he was in government. You can see all these things is happening to El-Rufai because of the fact that he's no longer in power. So they don't feel that he can influence situation. Remember that elections are being piloted and done by sitting governors. You can see what El-Rufai and the former governor of Kogi State, what they did to Buhari. They went to court challenging Buhari's move as to the Naira, the new Naira notes. And then you saw how they were playing the president few days. Even look at how Adams Oshiomhole was making series of utterances against the president. You forget about Buhari is a gunner, this and that. Can you dare say that in Buhari's second tenure? In Buhari's 2 years to power? You can't. But because they saw that Buhari is about few months to step out, so there are series of utterances. So what you are saying that is happening to El-Rufai today is because of the fact that he's out of government. When you're out of government and you don't play your card properly, just like Amechi, those ones they are just like down politicians right now. So my point is that the current governor of Rivers State, the current governor of all these states I've mentioned to you, they can influence 1 or 2 factors. Are you saying that Ganduje did not work in Kano State? At least some vote came out from that state. And then you patch the vote together from Kano State to Rivers State. You agree with me that APC won Rivers State, and then some other states, apart from 2 states that APC lost in the West. That is Osun State and then Lagos State. I think the other 3 states, APC won them because they won them in the West.
They won Oyo State, they won Ekiti State, they won Ogun State.
So, Ondo.
They also won Ondo State.
Okay, so you get my analysis. So, but now, those people that are in power, there are people who you cannot trust like how you trust Wike in Rivers State. Is a governor that deliver an election. Yes, he's a governor, so you need the support, and that is why what affected PDP is because of the fact that Atiku failed to align with those sitting governors who were not in same agreement or consonance with PDP.
But if you say
it really did affected PDP in the last election.
Sorry to hold your thought, Barrister Adams. If you say the governors deliver election, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu had literally, or let me put it this way, almost left his own campaign for second term and focused on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is from Lagos State, but he lost his election in Lagos. there's a sitting governor that is 100% APC, that you can barely smell any form of disloyalty around him, at least on the surface, Barrister Adams. But the governor still lost the state, not even to the PDP, not to the NNPP, but he lost it to Labour Party.
Because of the fact that Lagos situation is a peculiar situation.
Okay.
Lagos is the most civilized state in the federation. So, and then you see all the tribe in Lagos State. We are well civilized in Lagos State here. So people knows their left and right. So you don't just come and bamboozle me to vote APC or something for presidential election. So you see that the reverse is the case with what is obtainable in other parts of the region, where the governor a lot of people need to be educated as to the logos and the symbols of a particular party before they can even know whether they are voting APC, they know whether they are voting PDP or something. But people insisted in Lagos State that they want to cast their votes. So by all standard, that is what the law is. So a lot of people are civilized as to their voting pattern in Lagos State. But the reverse is a case in other states where they don't even know their left and right. We go to a place like Kogi State right now. Some people don't even know a particular party. They don't know the description, the logo, and the symbol of that particular party that they want to vote for. So, and that is why you see that APC was very against a popular candidate in another party. But for the fact that APC is a brand, when you see something yellow, like something yellow or something green, you know that it belongs to a particular telecom company. It's a brand. So your logo, your symbol, they are equally a brand that tend to educate people. So all these things matters.
Okay. We'll open the phone lines. The phone lines have been buzzing actually, but we'll start picking calls now. But let me also quickly ask you, I mean, what do we take away from all of this, Barrister Adams Atta? The whole interview of Malam Nasir El-Rufai, the response of the presidency trying to water down some of the concerns that the governor had raised, that the former governor had raised rather. How much do you think this build-up would matter when it comes to the election proper? And this is what I mean. By the end of 2025, some of the coast will be clearer. 2026, that's next year, is going to be the primaries of all the major political parties in Nigeria, because the general election is going to be February and March of 2027. So next year, we just have 2025. By the time we get into 2026, we're already talking of primaries of all of the major political parties. Now, a lot of people were thinking that Malam Nasir El-Rufai was going to talk about, there's going to be collaboration and alliance. But guess what? In the session yesterday, he literally washed down the People's Democratic Party, despite the fact that he's been visiting leaders of the party, he's been visiting ESCOs of the party. He was seen in the company of the 2019 and 2023 presidential candidate of the party and the former vice president Atiku Abubakar. He came out to say yesterday that the PDP is even worse, that if there's anything he will ever go back to, the last will be the PDP. Do you think, Barrister Adams Atta, that if Malam Nasir El-Rufai is building his political sagacity on the basis of, I will create a movement and make sure that, I support a Southern candidate and do it, because he talked about the fact that he was pushing for a Southern candidate, that he doesn't care who the Southern zone present, but they've decided to present Tinubu, and if you evaluate his belief that he will choose whether to support the presidency or not. If he decide not to support the president, do you think Malam Nasir El-Rufai can pull anything together from now? Because I was hearing yesterday, I'm just waiting for maybe next couple of days to see if it's going to be official, that Senator Kawu from Kano State is moving from NNPP, moving to the APC. Remember, the Deputy Senate President Senator Jubril Barao, is also from Kano State. The national chairman of the APC is also from Kano State. And about 2 weeks ago, the senator representing Ondo North Senatorial District, Senator Jim Ibrahim, said it on national TV that a lot of governors and senators are warming up to move to the APC. There were rumors yesterday that the governor of Enugu State Governor, the Senate Governor Peter Amba, and the governor of Adamawa State Governor Fintiri, both of them are on their way to the APC. If all of these align with the fact that there's going to be an off-cycle election in Anambra State in this year, ending of this year, and next year by Adams Atta, there will be off-cycle elections in Osun State and Ekiti State. And the chairman of the APC has said they're going to capture all of these states to make sure that the second term of the president is made easy. Do you think with all of these variables that I placed before you, like when you prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemy, do you think all of these variables will make whatever Malam Nasir El-Rufai wants to do make any difference as against the re-election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu if he chooses to go again?
Well, I don't think that I've not seen his alignment with any particular party right now. He's just romancing around.
He's visited SDP, he's visited the PDP as well.
And if you observe, during the IBB book launch, I saw him romancing with the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. That may be a fair deal for the Northerners because the North will not want to parade any other candidates aside Tinubu or Jonathan, for Jonathan to come and finish his second term.
But the wife of the former president, Dame Patience Jonathan, came out yesterday to say that her husband is not going to be on any ballot in 2027.
That is politics. Anything can happen before then, because the North may likely take a step in such a way that may not want to trade for another Southerner who will come and do 8 years, but rather prefer to whether settle for Tinubu or apparently opt for the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. So I literally do not know how the pendulum intends to tilt out. But whichever way, I don't know his plan right now. As far as people continue to move, governors, senators, House of Representative members continue to leave other party for APC, the practical implication is that at a point the whole system will be one party system,
which is dangerous for democracy.
And it will tend to affect our juvenile and then young democracy. So it's not hygienic for the system. There is no check and balances in the system. It's going to be one-way traffic, and then no opposition, nobody criticizing the government. Everything becomes so porous and so bad. People are now taking decision based on their selfish interests or the fact that they intend to come for second term. So it would be that it's no longer a serious exercise. People will lose interest in the system. But you know something? Freedom is not given voluntarily. You must fight for it. You must request for it. Nigerians need to come out massively and seek for their freedom. You cannot continue to be murmuring and sitting down and then not doing the needful. Look at the election that happened in Lagos State recently, last year, thereabouts. You can see the level of voter apathy in the whole system.
That's the by-election for Sulere constituency 1.
People refuse to come out. And then you are now there ranting up and down. Local government election is coming up in Lagos State. A lot of people don't even know who their current local government chairman is in Lagos State right now. Another 4th election is coming up in a couple of months, thereabouts. And then people are just there. They are waiting for the system to change at the federal level. We are operating one-party system in Lagos State, and that is applicable to other states of the federation. You see what is happening in Osun State, wherein one party wins all the elections. Is that an election where there is even a subsisting court judgment? And then you went ahead to conduct an election? Is that not lawlessness? Is that not anarchy? Is that not taking the law into your hands? Where there is an order of the court of the Supreme Court, the Apex Court, which is the after appeal from the Court of Appeals goes to Supreme Court, you see proceed to go and conduct election. It's not hygienic for our democracy, and then you are jubilating, you are dancing to the system. It's really a matter of sympathy.
Well, I mean, the Osun situation is different, and I don't want to use the word unique because Now, Osun have two local government chairmen. The one that the court validated are based on that judgment, even though the validity and the legality of that same judgment had also been challenged, because there's also a subsisting judgment that was gotten by the APP on the same matter. But now, the local government chairman that won the election on Saturday, they were duly sworn in on Sunday. The governor of the state said they should not report to the local government secretariats. So I'm wondering, who will the government at the federal level release the allocation to at the end of the month? Let's keep our fingers crossed. Your messages are pouring in. The same with your calls also. I'll pick the calls right now and allow you to join the conversation. 0913-600-0410. I would also read your message on Facebook. The tech guys are, helping us fix the issue we're having. And like I said yesterday, a lot of questions need to be asked, especially for the telcos providers that we have in this country. If you're increasing your tariffs, you should also guarantee that there is going to be improvement in the quality of the service deliveries. I'm not going to be paying for increment in data, and I cannot even access some of the basics. You have data on your phone, you can access your platforms, you have airtime on your phone, you cannot make calls, you're sending messages, it's hanging, you're trying to make transactions, it's hanging. It's a lot of problems. So maybe we need to ask the regulatory agencies in Nigeria, the people that are supposed to protect the consumers in this country, what exactly are they doing? And I can say this for a fact: Nigerian consumers are set of the most abused in the world. You pay for services and you don't get value for those services, and there's no space you can seek redress. A lot needs to be done. But let's get back into the conversation. 0913-600-0410 by Sada Amzata is still here. I've been discussing about the interview of Malam Nasir El-Rufai yesterday, letting out a lot of things that many people felt you should have talked about long before now. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Good evening, Okwe.
Mr. Lakule, it's been a while. Hope you're good.
Yes, great. I had quite a number of things this evening, and good enough. It's all about politics 101. To me, it's quite unfortunate that El-Rufai is taking this position and this stand. But I can't question his sanity, but I continue to ask myself that if you've done so much for what happened in 2023, why do you now want to move from the status of a statesman to a boogeyman? It's what I can't really fathom within myself. And I continue to ask, what really do you want to put together? How do you want to do it? Where do you get funding to run a presidential election in a country like Nigeria? Do you have those who will give you the trillions? You don't have governors, you don't have senators, you don't have... So how do you intend to push it? So for me, it begins to look to me as a charade that will not work. But if everything works, one thing I know will not happen is that El-Rufai will not win Kaduna State. I can take that bet today that El-Rufai will not win Kaduna State because of the things that have happened. And to look at Kano and all of that, APC understands that even without the Northwest, they can still become president. All they need to do is confirm that they have good showings in Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, and Sokoto in the Northwest, and they are home and dry. That's the truth. So, and PDP is having the crisis of their life. More governors are moving from there to the APC. You've just mentioned Kawu now. A lot of them have finished their medical. We are just waiting to announce them
for
as new players in the APC.
They're not coming for trial. It's permanent signing.
It's permanent signing one way or the other. Adamawa is in house. We are going to announce it very soon. So it's quite unfortunate, and it will really be a challenging one. But as I said, he's a man of conviction. He believes in what he believes, and I trust him. Let's see how far he can go.
Thank you very
much. But that he will make anything major, I don't see that. Thank you very much, Okwe.
Thank you very much for always joining the conversation. I'll read your messages in between the calls that I'm picking also. And I also take your messages on social media. This message is from John, sending you a message from Airport Road. It is not about voting or joining, or joining any political party. It is the coalition center It is okay. You mean collation center? That is where you rig and change result. My enemy almost got killed during 2015 election at the collation center when I stopped them from rigging or changing the result. They sent thugs at me, and so when we are making this talk, I thank the people around. They got me saved. I got home that day around 12 a.m. Wow, that's some very interesting story there, by the way. Okay, let me pick your calls. Read them on the messages. Hello, good evening.
To you, and Adam there.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Engineer Nii, let's go.
Like Adam was saying that you cannot say that it's big conditions. Okonjo were great conditions during the Obasanjo time. Even everybody gave conditions because they are egg. They were egg. You know your onion, you can study your conditions. Either you like it or you not, doesn't like it. And then their conditions were accepted, and Obasanjo succeeded. So when they went to this Cotton House in England, they were the people who was referring to answer questions.
True.
I imagine. And then when they now came, they are now playing politics from them. And I knew how many emissaries that Tinubu sent from Lagos to go and fight for their support for his election in the first place. Most of them that are in guard, some of them are really trying to politics now. You see, you can imagine. But at the same time, it is left to everybody has a stand. It has a stand in, and it is even the Kano people and some northern people that are pushing him to come out at all costs, that he will support him, money or no money. Jonathan had the money to parade during his election. He failed.
Still lost.
So don't let anybody say that there is no money. It's not all about money. It's people. If you stand out your ground, that this is where we are going, that will be settled. Also, state issue. You see, there are three subsisting judgments before the Aᴜᴇ's case matter. You see, that those judgments are still very valid because they now went to Aᴜᴇ to now obtain another judgment. Because some state now say, use state high court, give us another judgment.
Thank you.
So all these things are there. They are working towards 27 to destabilize the present governor during they have election next year.
Thank you.
Or you want him to start to run for local government election.
Thank you, Engineer. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Kayode from the Cotton says El-Rufai has just started his mission of fruitless political efforts. President Tinubu isn't that person they can handle like the state compatriots. President Tinubu is a civilian general worshipped by army generals. We're still expecting his next move to any political party of his choice. Okay. You went on to say your guest analysis on some states in the north for 2027 is too early. Similarly, the APC didn't win Kano State in the last election, whereas 2027 election for APC is intact. Okay. Thank you very much. Your guest is not making hill out of the mountains. He was not there when El-Rufai and Tinubu had the agreement, so he should not talk about what he doesn't know. Taiwo are from Ota. Okay. Hello. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening.
Good to have you join us on the show today.
Yeah, I'm calling from Songo.
Okay. You didn't tell me your name.
My name is Ola.
Okay, Mr. Ola from Songo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, concerning the El-Rufai and the presidency reply, you can see that it is obvious that the presidency, in the name of representing Tinubu, you understand, in the name of Bayo Onanuga, this is somebody that is very arrogant. He doesn't know how to speak. From day one, you heard him when he was saying to the Igbos in Lagos State during the presidential election, 2023. He said to them that enough of the Igbos participating in any election in Lagos State. And you want to tell me that this kind of people or this set of people can bring something to the table? Is that not marginalization? You are pushing some people back, and you want some people to benefit from the government. And you are saying we are all one. And you want the Igbos to still vote for you 2027 with this your interest. And you are now telling El-Rufai that he should not be crying over his a still me that is crying, somebody that is old enough to be your grandpapa, come of it. This guy, you need to go back to school and learn how to talk.
Thank you, Mr. Ola. When I was watching Mr. Bayonanuga's interview, the part I laughed the most when he called him Nasiru, and I'm like, hold up. It's always very important when you have ability to handle public perception. It is really, really key. When I read Nasiru, and I'm like, Nasiru, how? He's Nasiru. Barrister Adams, I'm trying to see if you can, access our Facebook here very quickly. Okay. This one is a message coming in. Okay, we have loads of this message. Onotoyitemtokpa Michael on Facebook says, we would only continue to deceive ourselves if we pretend not to know why credible candidates are not forthcoming, which starts from party primaries, which has now turned to a money carnival. How can a chairman of local government fee be 5 million and councillor is 2 million? Election has now become a big business. We seriously need electoral reforms to make our electoral process better. Wow, thank you very much. Anything that is not working in Nigeria is now Tinubu's effect, just as he did in Lagos. There's one party in Lagos, the same he wants to do in the entire country. As far as Tinubu is president, the judicial and security agencies will be tools for him. That is from Case Holy. Prince Ike on Facebook says, well, I want to ask, moving from one party to another, is it constitutional? The reason why I ask is that I haven't heard a Republican politician move to Democratic Party yet. Please kindly educate me on this. Yeah, your right to move. Well, I'm sure my guests will respond to that real quick. Malam El-Rufai cannot deliver his own state, Kaduna, to the APC. That's from Olaiwola Abib. More messages on Facebook. This one says, good evening, Okpe. Your guest has spoken well today. The understanding of the politics of APC is gone beyond Malam El-Rufai. He should stay and nurse his wound. The APC had moved on and they left him behind, just like he said. Okay. Okpe, tell your guest that a sitting governor, Okowa and Obaseki, lost their states to Labour Party. That is Delta and Edo State. Father Bumi says, I salute you all, my gallant men in the house. Thank you very much. Joe Erelmu says, the odd mention for appointing ex-governors as ministers should be critically looked into. Obasanjo and Jonathan never did so, which was better for a nation of over 200 million people. A National Assembly should think on these ends. We have been sleeping, okay? John Bernard Oyi says, on the issue of El-Rufai, I will address it in two ways. First off, what El-Rufai is saying about the president and the government is a complete truth. On the other way, he's saying it because he was not given a ministerial appointment. I disagree with your guest for saying that El-Rufai was screened out by the Senate. With the rubber stamp Senate president, if the president wants El-Rufai, there's nothing the senators can do. The messages are so much, but unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show today. I can't pick more calls or read more messages, but of course tomorrow I promise I'm going to read loads of your messages before we get into the conversation proper tomorrow. Barrister Adams, we have just a few seconds to step out of the studio. Thank you very much for finding time to be with us on the show today. In quick seconds, your final word.
I want to start by saying that El-Rufai should try as much as possible to see how the party can align themselves as to issues that are raised. So that's the best advice I can give. And then he should not have the spirit of being entitled. That's the best I can give.
Okay, talking about being entitled, they tell you that the most expensive card you can have in politics is loyalty. So if you feel you're loyal to someone and you think you've played your loyalty card, shouldn't you ask questions? Shouldn't you ask if your loyalty should be paid? I think that's what politics is about. But what do I know? They said I'm not a politician. I'm just a small boy, trying to put body and soul together. News next up, 6 o'clock. I'll be back for Sports Cruise on Mila 98.3 FM. Thank you very much for being a part of the production today. A big shout out to Barrister Adams Atta for joining me on the show. Bye for now.
Thank you.
When the airwaves in your market become more and more crowded. It's time to break it open and really stand out. It's here.
Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.